Hello everyone, Berserkhead here, and welcome to this video in which I want to share my experience with the RPM network with you, and also I'm gonna try and convince you to not join RPM, Fullscreen, Social Blade, or pretty much any network that is somehow affiliated with Maker Studios, except for Polaris. Polaris is alright, Polaris is an alright network, but in order to be accepted into Polaris, your channel has to be very big. So I don't think that's a concern for anyone. But yeah, that is the main reason I want to share my experience with you, because I was a partner of RPM Studios or RPM Network for almost a year, and it was incredibly hard for me to leave, if I gotta be honest. And I just want to share my experience, all the negative stuff, so that I can convince you and warn you to be careful before you sign a contract with any of these guys. Anyways, I pretty much signed the contract with the with RPM Network on, I think it was August 23rd, 2013. This is where I reached the minimal requirements for the network, which were 2,500 views for a month with 30 days, and I was actually very excited about that, and I wanted to join this network because most of the channels that I watch on YouTube, like the channels that I really like on YouTube, are part of the Polaris network, or the Game Station at the time. So I was very excited to join RPM because it was once again a branch of Maker Studio. So I was like, Polaris is good, therefore RPM should be good. And there was, you know, some mixed opinions about the network, but there was a lot of positive stuff, so I was really excited to join it. However, the moment I signed my contract, this is where my issues with the network began, because usually they tell you you should be accepted in the network within like I think it's like 5 business days, and you should have access to everything that they provide you with. This did not happen to me. I had to wait for like 2 weeks before I was fully accepted into the network. I could put ads on my videos and make some money out of it. And they provide you with a 60-40 split, which means that 60% of your ad revenue goes to yourself and 40% of the ad revenue goes to them. And that was, I would say that was a fair share back in the day, like a year ago. But since then, YouTube has changed a lot, and there have been like the new copyright laws and you know, the new verification system and stuff like that. So some of these privileges that they give you are not actually privileges for partners, and things have changed a lot. And now networks are actually changing that, and they're trying to give their partners a bigger ad revenue, because once again, the things that they provide you with are not worth they're not worth 40% of your ad revenue. But anyways, you can ask me, how much money did I make from RPM network? That is the first issue that most people have with this particular network, and that is the low pay. So how much money did I make when I became a partner of the RPM network? Now, I'm usually not allowed to share how much money I can make, but now that I'm no longer in a contract with them, I think that is fully okay for me to share it. And either way, I really don't care. So by the moment like I signed the contract with them, I had 2,500 views a month, and I received 1 cent a day. This is the amount of money that I made. I kid you not. I made 1 cent a day. I didn't run like all tabs of ads on my channel, but I made 1 cent a day. And of course my channel grew. Now it's like almost 3 times as big as, you know, when I first got the contract. But still, the pay is not great. Now I run pretty much all sorts of ads, and you know, ad revenue is a very, you know, it's not a fixed thing. Like, you don't get a fixed amount of money every month and stuff like that. It really depends on, you know, how much people pay for the ads, how many people click on the ads and stuff like that. But I think the highest I've gotten for 1 day is like €2. That is like the highest number. And I get I don't know how many views a day, but now I get about 6,000, if not more views a month. So that is, you know, the first problem that I have with RPM network. I don't want to do the estimations and check if this is really the 60% that they give me. I really don't care. I'm not gonna go and make some calculations that are not gonna be correct and stuff like that. But this is the first problem that people complain a lot about, because the pay is really not great when you join any of these networks. But anyways, this was not the most serious issue. You know, I make videos for fun and money is not such an important aspect to me. But so the way this works, the way your contract works, is if you want to leave the network, you give them a 30-day advance notice. So basically you gotta open a support ticket 30 days before your contract expires and tell them that you don't want it to be renewed, because otherwise it gets automatically renewed 30 days before it expires. And so I've contacted support. You know, this was actually the one time that they were kind to me, and I was like, you know, if I want to leave the network, how do I do that? And they explained to me, you know, it was all like, they just said it's really simple. You just open a support ticket, you're like, I don't want my contract to be renewed, and there you go. That's literally all they said in support. However, when the time came, I was thinking about it. I was not sure if I wanted to leave the network or if I wanted to stay for one more year. But at the end, I decided that I want to leave the network, because now that my channel has grown, I can very soon get some more opportunities to join other networks that can actually provide me with more stuff, especially when it comes to share of the ad revenue. And so I decided to leave the network. But first of all, recently Maker Studios have made this change. Now they're called Maker Gen or something, and they have made like they've renewed their website, and now they have a new Maker Central. And the first problem that I had, I thought I gotta open a support ticket by joining, by logging into this Maker Central thingy. And so I couldn't. And I pretty much spent a day trying to look for a link, trying to find a way to open a support ticket. Finally I found a solution on some forum, and so I opened a support ticket, and it was alright. And it shouldn't have been like that in the first place. That is my problem. When it comes to support, they were kind of slow on the answer, but anyways, once again, that doesn't really matter to me. But the thing is, the whole thing was buggy. There seemed to have been other people that had the same problem, and it was a completely unnecessary problem. But anyways, I decided to leave the network and give them the 30-day advance notice. And so I contact support, and I'm like, guys, I want to leave the network. And this is where the real serious issues began for me, where I had to struggle for a pretty long time to get this thing over with. So, the first thing that they tell me, I'm like, I'm leaving the network. I don't want my contract renewed. I'm just leaving the network. And what they respond with is basically, oh, we're sorry to hear that. Can we help you and, convince you to stay on our network? And I'm like, no, guys, you don't understand. I am leaving the network. I don't want my contract renewed. There is no way you can convince me that I'm staying in this network. And I had fair reasons for that. It's not just the revenue share, it's all of these problems. I've had to contact support several other times and stuff like that, and I just don't like this network. There is a lot of negativity surrounding it on forums and stuff like that. Generally, most people just completely dislike this network. And if you go to like their comment section and stuff like that, you'll see that many people have very serious problems. Support is ignoring them and something like that. And I don't want to be part of a network like that. And so I'm like, I want to leave. And finally they take it seriously, and they're like, okay, but we gotta make sure, you gotta verify your identity. We gotta confirm that this is in fact you, that you want to terminate your contract. And so they asked me for information, which I didn't know that I have to give. The previous time when I contacted support, they basically told me that I should just give them this notice, and then everything is all right. The contract is not gonna renew. And they were asking me for extremely specific information, like there was like standard stuff like my name, my birthday, stuff like that. Okay, this is all standard. But then they asked me to give them my favorite animal that I selected from some drop list like a year ago, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And they also wanted my address. And so I'm answering some of these questions that I can answer, but in like, what's your address? I just gave them my current address, and then at the back of that, I'm like, do you want my current address? Do you want the address that you send the paychecks to? or do you want the address that's in my contract? And you know, I had these several questions. Some of these things that some of this information that they wanted me to provide them with, I basically needed more information to know exactly what information I should give them. And you know what they respond with? They just say, "Oh, we're sorry, but this information doesn't match with what we have on file over here." And I'm like, "No shit. I was asking you for, I wanted you to give me like specific information, which address do you need, and I wanted you to provide me with this list so that I can tell you which animal I selected from this fucking stupid list." And I gotta open a support ticket like every time, and finally I give them like different information. I think everything matched at the end, but they're like, "Oh, stop opening like new support tickets because it is hard for us to monitor your issues and stuff like that." And I knew I should respond to their emails like directly. I shouldn't open a new support ticket. But the thing is, if I open a new support ticket, they're actually gonna respond to it. And when I respond to their email, they're just completely gonna ignore me. And I actually knew that. And so what happened is I respond to the email and I'm asking like, "Is this information correct, or do you actually, does it not match again or whatever?" They completely ignored me for several days, and so it happened that my contract got renewed, and they didn't do anything about it. They weren't helpful at all. Like that was all they did. They just basically delayed it as much as possible because there were just a few days before my contract was getting renewed for another year, and so they basically try to delay it so I can stay with them for one more year. And they just ignored my email. They didn't respond to it, and my contract got renewed, and I wanted to quit the network, and I couldn't do anything about it because you can't quit anytime. You should just tell them that you don't want your contract renewed. So they basically forced me into staying with the network for one more year, which is not okay. But and this is when I got really pissed off, and that was the point where it was just too much. I really got angry at this point because I was they're based in America, so I had to stay up till like 2 o'clock to respond to their emails and open support tickets and stuff like that. And at the end, they're just ignoring me, and exactly what I was afraid of, that they would just ignore me and my contract will get renewed, and that is exactly what happened. But fortunately, I did an extensive research on the network, and basically I found there were several videos where people say that if you're under the age of 18, you can pretty much leave any network at any time based on a US law that states that you cannot keep a minor under a contract, and if that happens somehow, the minor is just allowed to leave the contract at pretty much any time. They cannot do anything about it if they don't, like, if you prove that you're a minor, that you're under 18, they cannot do anything about it. They just gotta release you from the contract, because otherwise it is illegal. You can sue them. And there were a lot of people that used the solution to get out of their network. Once again, these were mostly people from Fullscreen, Social Blade, RPM, or other networks that are like newer and smaller and that are basically scams, which some people say the same for RPM and these other networks, that they're scams. I wouldn't go as far to say that, but it's not too far-fetched. There are really some scammy elements out there. But anyways, I finally used that, and I found this exact thing that I should send to them, like this extract that I could send to them that was all formal and stuff. And I knew that they were gonna ask me for like a picture, or like for me to scan my ID card or some kind of document like that, birth certificate or something like that, because people said that you gotta prove that you're indeed under 18. And so I did that. I just directly sent them a picture, and I'm like sending this thing to them, and I'm like, these are US laws, and if you don't obey these laws, I'm basically gonna sue you. And immediately, like, this is the fastest they have responded to me. They responded in 10 or 20 minutes, not more than 20 minutes, and they're like, okay, we're gonna take this to the next level of support and we're basically gonna release you from your contract. And they probably have done that because I don't see ads on my videos anymore. I see ads every now and then, but these are ads that appear in pretty much any video. Any video has ads, but they're not getting anything from these ads. I am not getting anything from these ads. So I think at this point my contract is terminated. I still haven't unlinked my channel from my network, but I've sent a request for that, and it's probably gonna happen at some point. So I can say at this point I got out of the network, and I'm really happy about that. It's a huge relief for me, and if something goes wrong, man, I'm gonna be so pissed off. So the reason I made this video, do not join these networks. I just want to warn you, research a network before you join it, because there are a lot of new networks out there that are basically trying to scam people. There are worse cases than that, definitely. So before you join a network, don't hurry up. Just join the AdSense program if it is available in your country. It is not available in mine, otherwise I would have just joined this program and wait until my channel will get accepted into some bigger network. Of course they have bigger requirements, but you still get some money out of your videos. You don't get all the privileges that other partners have that are with a network, but right now on YouTube this is actually not such a big deal. So do not join these networks. Just make sure everything is gonna be alright. Make sure they're a trustworthy network. See what other people think on forums and stuff like that, and then join a network. That is really important, and that is the reason I made this video. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope this video was useful to someone as a warning, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.